Back in the 8-bit days, the NES stood out as a truly legendary system, recovering from the gaming crash to deliver timeless platform titles full of running, leaping, and playable cartoon-like journeys. These classics shaped our childhood, and even now, they remain absolutely amazing to play. Released on the NES in 1988, Ninja Gaiden stood out as one of the most ambitious and cinematic games of its time. Originally from the arcades, this version brought something special to 8-bit consoles, a real story told through cutscenes that felt more like a movie than a regular action game. You play as Ryu Hayabusa, a ninja on a mission for answers after his father is killed in a duel. Following a letter his father left behind, he heads to the United States to find an archaeologist connected to a mysterious artifact. What begins as a personal revenge story quickly turns into a much darker plot involving demonic statues that could unleash chaos on the world. While the story is engaging, the real star is the gameplay, and it's brutally tough. Ninja Gaiden is famous for its high difficulty. Enemies attack relentlessly from early on, respawning quickly if you move around too much. This forces you to replay sections again and again, testing your patience and focus. The knockback system makes it even harder. One hit can send Ryu flying off platforms into pits for instant death. With narrow ledges and precise jumping required, the game demands sharp reflexes and full concentration at all times. To fight back, Ryu uses his sword along with sub-weapons like shurikens and fire attacks, which are powered by limited spirit points. Managing these tools wisely is key to handling the huge number of enemies and adds real strategy to the intense platforming. Despite its punishing difficulty, Ninja Gaiden impresses with solid graphics, excellent sound design, and tight controls. It's a very tough game, but also deeply rewarding for players who love a real challenge, a true 8-bit classic. Felix the Cat is one of those rare characters who became a massive cultural icon long before video games even existed. Dating back to the 1920s, he was already a huge star during the silent film era. By the time Hudson Soft brought him to the NES in 1992, Felix carried decades of history and popularity with him. The game follows a classic and simple story. Felix has to rescue his girlfriend Kitty from an evil professor who wants to steal the power of his magical bag. It's a straightforward premise, but it works perfectly for a fun, colorful platforming adventure that takes you through forests, oceans, outer space, and more. At its heart, it's a traditional platformer, but what makes it special is the creativity. The magic bag lets Felix pull out all kinds of crazy abilities, transformations, and vehicles, from boxing gloves to tanks and beyond. This gives the gameplay a unique and constantly changing feel. Progression comes from collecting special icons throughout the stages. As you gather enough of them, Felix upgrades his powers and unlocks new forms that make gameplay smoother and more dynamic. Because of this, the game is famously very easy, often compared to beginner-friendly titles like Kirby's Dream Land. Visually, Felix the Cat is one of the best-looking games on the NES. The environments are detailed, bright, and full of variety, showing how much care the developers put in. Felix's animations are smooth and full of personality. The soundtrack is a bit limited with repetitive music and simple sound effects, but it doesn't hurt the overall experience too much. In the end, Felix the Cat is a charming and creative platformer. It may be easy, but its fun variety, beautiful visuals, and unique magic bag mechanics make it one of the most memorable late-era NES titles. Released in 1989 for the NES, DuckTales is one of those rare games that has truly stood the test of time. Based on the hugely popular Scrooge McDuck cartoon, it came from the strong partnership between Disney and Capcom. Instead of feeling like a typical licensed cash grab, it actually broke that stereotype by delivering a genuinely excellent experience. This wasn't by chance. Capcom brought in talented developers who had worked on Mega Man, which brought a high level of polish and smart design. The result is a platformer that looks simple at first, but feels incredibly refined once you start playing. You control Scrooge McDuck on a global treasure hunt, and you can choose the order of the stages freely, which was quite advanced for its time. Each level has branching paths, hidden secrets, and a strong sense of exploration, giving the game more depth than its short length suggests. The real highlight is the gameplay. You don't need complex weapons or upgrades. Scrooge's cane does it all. The iconic pogo jump lets you attack enemies, break objects, and move around the environment. It's a simple mechanic, but it feels extremely precise and super satisfying once you master it. The difficulty is pure classic NES style, tight jumps, strong knockback, and limited checkpoints. It can be challenging, but it never feels unfair once you learn the patterns. Visually, the game still looks great. The levels are colorful, varied, and full of personality, perfectly capturing the fun spirit of the cartoon, and the soundtrack is unforgettable, especially the moon theme, which became legendary. In the end, DuckTales isn't just a good licensed game. It's one of the best examples of how to do it right. A true 8-bit classic that's still worth playing today. Kirby's Adventure might look like a simple, cute NES platformer at first, but the moment you start playing, you realize there's something truly special about it. What seems like a basic pink character quickly becomes one of the most creative and fun gameplay ideas of the entire 8-bit era. The star of the show is Kirby's main ability. He can inhale enemies and either spit them out or copy their powers. This isn't just a gimmick, it completely changes how you play each level. From breathing fire and freezing enemies to turning into a wheel or a heavy stone, the variety is excellent and keeps the gameplay feeling fresh and exciting throughout. The level design uses a stage-based structure with multiple doors leading to different areas, hidden secrets, and bonus rooms. Exploring these paths often rewards you with extra lives or useful shortcuts, giving the game more depth than most platformers from that time. Visually, Kirby's Adventure pushes the NES hardware pretty far. It's bright, colorful, smooth, and packed with nice effects. The environments range from peaceful forests and lakes to dark caves and towering castles. Everything feels polished and full of life. At the beginning, the game feels quite easy, almost too easy. But as you move forward, the difficulty ramps up nicely. Later stages bring tighter platforming, tougher enemies, and fewer power-ups, forcing you to play with more precision and smart thinking. The soundtrack is another big highlight. Even with the limited hardware, the music is catchy and memorable, perfectly matching the game's light and cheerful mood. In the end, Kirby's Adventure is more than just another platformer. It's a game all about experimentation, exploration, and having fun with different abilities. Mega Man 6 is a great example of how the series became one of the biggest forces in the 8-bit era. Guided by Keiji Inafune, the franchise had built a very strong identity on the NES, and this 1993 release serves as its final chapter on the console, wrapping up the classic run before moving to the Super Nintendo. At its core, the game stays true to the classic formula. You battle 8 robot masters, each with their own unique theme and environment, and you can tackle them in any order you like. Defeating them gives you their powerful weapons, creating that signature progression system where strategy and planning really matter. The gameplay stays tight and satisfying throughout. The mix of precise platforming and fast action feels as polished as ever. Responsive controls, smart enemy placement, and well-designed levels keep challenging you. It's a game that rewards skill, patience, and learning enemy patterns. A true trial-and-error experience where persistence pays off. One of the biggest new additions is the Rush Adapter system. By combining with Rush, Mega Man unlocks fresh abilities like short-distance flight or smashing through heavy obstacles. These mechanics add more exploration and variety while still respecting the classic Mega Man structure. Visually, Mega Man 6 pushes the NES hardware to its limits. The colorful environments blend industrial and natural themes beautifully, and the animation stays smooth and clean. For a late-era release, it's a very polished package. The difficulty is fair but present, especially in boss fights. It can be tough, but it never feels unfair once you learn the patterns and mechanics. In the end, Mega Man 6 is a strong and worthy send-off for the series on the NES. It refines everything that made Mega Man great and easily stands as one of the best action platformers of its generation. Released on the NES, Return of the Joker stands out as one of the most visually impressive games on the console, really pushing the 8-bit hardware to its absolute limits. At the time, it looked closer to a 16-bit game, with its large detailed sprites and smooth animations. The story is simple but effective. The Joker is back, and Batman must storm his base, fighting through waves of enemies to stop him once again. What keeps the gameplay exciting is the constant action and smart mechanics. One of the coolest features is the special item system. By collecting 8 icons dropped by enemies, Batman becomes temporarily invincible and unleashes a barrage of powerful shots that can clear entire screens. This effect lasts only a short time, but you can extend it by grabbing more icons. Combat feels different from previous Batman games. Instead of punches, Batman uses a projectile weapon right from the start. This weapon can be upgraded with items labeled N, S, C, and B, each giving a different shot type. Holding the attack button also charges up a stronger shot, adding more depth to the fights. Controls are smooth and responsive. Along with jumping and shooting, Batman has a useful sliding move that helps take down enemies at close range. The difficulty is much better balanced compared to the first NES Batman game. It's still challenging in places, but far less punishing. Boss fights focus more on learning patterns and choosing the right weapon upgrades. With excellent graphics, strong sound design, and fast-paced gameplay, Batman Return of the Joker is one of the standout action titles on the NES, a true classic that still holds up well today. At first glance, Legend of Fuma feels a lot like a Japanese-style Castlevania, but set in a dark mythological version of hell. And honestly, that comparison fits really well. It combines action, exploration, and light RPG elements, landing somewhere between Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest and other bold experimental games Konami made back then. You take control of Fuma, the final surviving brother from a clan tasked with destroying the revived demon Ryukutsuki. After losing his siblings, he must track down their powerful legendary swords and finish what they started. The story is pretty simple, but it gives meaning to this big, varied journey. What makes the game special is its unique structure. An overworld map links several islands, each one acting like a complex maze with different paths and mysterious gates. So the gates drops you into fast side-scrolling levels, while some zones switch to first-person dungeon crawling, which adds nice variety. At the start, combat feels quite tough. Your attacks have very short range and enemies take multiple hits to go down. But as you keep playing, your sword grows stronger and you collect useful items that improve both attacking and defending, making the fights way more enjoyable later on. Exploration plays a huge role here. You'll go back to previous areas many times, hunt for hidden items, and slowly figure out the right way forward. It can feel confusing at times, but that thrill of discovery is what makes it addictive. On the visual side, the game looks striking with its strong colors and raw, gritty art style that gives it a very distinct atmosphere compared to most other Famicom games of that time. Once you get comfortable with how everything works, it becomes a really satisfying experience for fans of classic action-adventure titles. For a long time, I thought Super Metroid was the game that truly defined the Metroid formula. I wasn't even sure if the original NES version had a big interconnected map, power-ups, or real freedom to explore, but after playing the first Metroid it became clear. The foundation for the entire genre was already there on the NES. Released in the mid-80s by Nintendo, Metroid carried the same innovative spirit as Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda, but with a completely different tone full of tension, isolation, and discovery. From the very start, the game throws you in with almost no guidance. You can move left, right, up and down freely, but nothing tells you where to go next. Progress comes purely from curiosity and experimentation. You'll often hit a wall you can't pass, forcing you to backtrack and search for new paths. Eventually you discover abilities like morphing into a ball to squeeze through tight spaces. There are no tutorials, the game teaches you through its clever design. Zebes itself is basically one giant maze, and getting lost is a big part of the experience. That feeling of being alone in an alien world, hunting for upgrades and slowly unlocking previously unreachable areas is what makes Metroid so special. It's not just about shooting enemies, it's about learning and mastering the planet. The sound design is another standout. Instead of constant music, it uses eerie ambient sounds that build a tense atmosphere. The more traditional tracks only kick in at important moments, making them feel much more powerful. The challenge is definitely there, especially against tough bosses like Ridley and Mother Brain, but exploration helps balance it by rewarding you with more energy, missiles, and new abilities. Looking back, Metroid isn't just another old game, it's the blueprint for an entire genre. Even decades later, playing it feels like going back to where everything began. Released in 1986 by Konami, Castlevania is a game that demands precision above everything else. It's not just about fast reflexes, it's about perfect timing, smart positioning, and learning enemy patterns to survive its many brutal sections. You play as Simon Belmont, a vampire hunter armed with his legendary whip, on a mission to defeat Dracula. The journey takes you through dark gothic environments like ruined castles, dungeons, cemeteries, and spooky forests, all packed with classic monsters such as skeletons, medusas, zombies, and mummies. Combat centers around your whip, which can be upgraded to increase its range and power. You can also collect sub-weapons like knives, axes, holy water, crosses, and even a stopwatch that freezes enemies in place. These use hearts as ammo instead of health, which was a fresh mechanic back then. The real challenge comes from the controls. Simon's jump can't be adjusted once you're in the air, so every move needs to be planned carefully. On top of that, taking damage causes heavy knockback that can easily knock you into pits. Enemy placement makes things even tougher, especially flying Medusas in narrow platforming areas. Even with its difficulty, the game shines with strong visuals and one of the most iconic soundtracks on the NES, featuring legendary tracks like Vampire Killer. In the end, Castlevania is tough and sometimes frustrating, but extremely rewarding. It laid the foundation for an entire legendary series and remains one of the most important action platformers ever made. Released on the NES, Kickmaster offers a simple but surprisingly engaging premise. After the evil wizard Bells destroys the kingdom of Laurel and kidnaps the princess, the lone warrior Thonlin sets out for revenge using only his powerful kicks. At first it feels a bit like Castlevania or Ninja Gaiden. You move right, fight enemies and take on bosses. But the big twist is that you don't use any weapons. Everything is done through martial arts kicks and the game adds unique RPG elements for more depth. Enemies drop items that give experience points and every 1000 points you level up. Instead of just increasing strength, leveling unlocks new kicks and boosts your health, making combat more varied and interesting as you go. There's also magic in the game, but it feels quite limited. Since magic points are scarce, you'll mostly save them for healing during tough boss fights rather than using spells all the time. The level design is straightforward and action-packed, but still offers variety. You travel through forests, cliffs, swamps, and finally reach the wizard's fortress. Even with only 8 stages, the journey feels complete and satisfying. Difficulty increases steadily, enemies get tougher, follow tricky patterns, and later stages bring multiple bosses. Mastering your different kicks becomes really important. The game does have some flaws. Controls can feel a bit stiff, some moves aren't clearly explained, and there are occasional hit detection issues. Even so, Kickmaster stands out as a fast-paced and challenging action game. It's not perfect, but its unique combat system and steady progression make it a memorable NES title. The NES era wasn't perfect, but it laid the foundation for everything we enjoy in gaming today. These classic titles helped shape entire genres and still hold up surprisingly well in their own unique way. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments which NES game defined your childhood. See you in the next one.